I am a complete fool, an unsuspecting one at that. After 38 years of marriage, 3 grown and married children, and 5 precious grandchildren, she pulls this crap. I've worked tirelessly to ensure we're debt-free and just 2 years away from my retirement. Then this happens. She told me she was heading to Arizona for an educators' conference that she was required to attend. Trusting her as I always have, I dropped her off at the airport with a smile, even planning to pick her up on Thursday. But now, my entire world feels like it's crumbling. A coworker of mine, who happened to be in Las Vegas for a PBR event, sent me a picture that shattered my blind trust. There she was, my wife of nearly 4 decades, at a casino, cozied up with none other than our primary care physician. Now it's Christmas, and all the kids are coming here. I've looked forward to this for months, especially the hunting trip with my son and grandsons. But instead of joy and excitement, I'm caught in a storm of betrayal and anger. Should I blow everything up and confront her now? Or do I play it cool and wait until after the holidays? If I keep quiet, I could gather more evidence. But can I stomach picking her up from the airport and pretending everything's okay? The other choice? Devastating my children during one of the most cherished times of the year. What kind of father and grandfather would I be to ruin Christmas for them? I can't help but replay the events leading up to this discovery. This woman, a woman who stood in front of our church just last Sunday and sang a solo, boarded a plane the next day to spend the week in Vegas, sleeping with another man. Not just any man, but someone I trusted with my health and well-being. 40 years. For decades of loyalty, love, and trust. I never doubted her. Not once. I dang sure never thought she'd cheat on me. Now, everything I believed in, my marriage, my partner, my life, is a lie. My heart aches with a pain I can't describe. What I thought was unshakable, our family, our home, our love, is now fractured beyond recognition. How could she throw away everything we built together? How could she risk destroying our children's and grandchildren's trust? And for what? A fleeting affair? This betrayal cuts so deep, I'm not sure how to act. Do I confront her? Do I wait for the evidence? I feel like I'm living in a surreal nightmare. One where the woman I thought I knew better than anyone else has become a stranger. One thing is certain. The life I once cherished is over. I'm glad my parents aren't alive to witness this. They would have been heartbroken. I decided to stay at my sister-in-law Sparky's house. She welcomed me warmly, saying I could hunt all week if I wanted, promising to take care of everything. Cooking, washing my clothes, and making sure I had no worries. It was an offer I had never taken up before, and honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect. She made it clear we wouldn't discuss my problems unless I brought them up. For now, she insisted I focus on myself. True to her word, Sparky kept me busy. On our way to her salon appointment, she looked at me with a mischievous grin and said, "I'm going to use you to have some fun. When I introduce you, I'll give them your first and middle name. Just play along." What the hell does that mean? I asked, bewildered. She laughed. I'm giving these witches something to talk about. My middle name, my mother's maiden name, became a source of endless amusement. She introduced me to her hairstylist with a flair that made me roll my eyes, but her antics had me chuckling despite myself. When the stylist asked where I was from, I told her to guess. My southern drawl betrayed me immediately, so Sparky, without skipping a beat, quipped, "He's a logger." Next, we went shopping, a rare activity for me. I ended up with 3 pairs of pants for shirts, 2 pairs of shoes, a tie that cost an outrageous $75, and even a suit. Sparky insisted it was the same brand my late brother wore, and I begrudgingly went along. She even sweet-talked the staff into hemming the suit while we waited. On the way home, she announced, "You're my date for the party at church." At the party, she instructed me to look at her the way I'd eye a new gun I wanted to buy. It was ridiculous, but I played along, even as she spun a wild tale that I was from Atlanta, sold road graders, and had been married and divorced 4 times. At church the next morning, she clung to my arm, held my hand, and laughed about lightning striking us for all the lies we told. It was absurd, but for the first time in weeks, I genuinely laughed. Being around Sparky reminded me what it felt like to breathe again. Her humor and energy pulled me out of my haze, and for the first time in weeks, I wasn't drowning in my thoughts. Meanwhile, updates from my children painted a bleak picture of my wife. She was staying at our daughter's house, mostly confined to her room, her phone dead, barely communicating. My son mentioned she looked like death and thought she needed medical help. Then came the call. She'd been hospitalized with severe dehydration, poor kidney function, and confusion. They admitted her, started 4 fluids, and ordered a psychiatric evaluation. I didn't rush home. I stayed with Sparky. She kept me busy with her cooking and a sense of normalcy I desperately needed. We shared meals that brought me comfort. Fried steak, mashed potatoes with gravy, homemade biscuits, apple cobbler, and ice cream. Sparky, ever the firecracker, cracked jokes even as she bossed me around. When I told her rainy days were good for 2 things and I wasn't sleepy, she shot back, "Your kids don't need both parents in the hospital from dehydration." Back home, my wife's condition worsened. Her psychiatric evaluation revealed a psychotic break. She believed we'd been in a car accident where I died and was distraught over missing my funeral. They moved her to a specialized facility for mental trauma, restricting any contact for 10 days. I struggled with sympathy. Her actions had set off this chain of events, yet I found it difficult to balance my anger with pity. My children were supportive, but seemed hopeful for reconciliation. I wasn't there yet, if I'd ever be. Sparky, true to form, scheduled me a counseling session with her psychologist, someone she'd seen after my brother's passing. I reluctantly agreed, and while it was uncomfortable at first, it began to help. The psychiatrist outlined goals to help me process everything, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could see a path forward. The drama surrounding my wife's affair continues to ripple through our lives. Her sisters and mother have been brought into the fold, although I've kept the details minimal. My wife has written me letters, pleading for forgiveness, but I haven't responded beyond acknowledging them. She moved into a rental property and is being cared for by her sisters and a longtime housekeeper. As for me, I've stayed busy. Counseling has helped me compartmentalize my emotions and focus on myself for once. For the first time in years, I've noticed other women, pretty women who catch my eye, and it's a strange feeling. I'm not rushing into anything, but I'm allowing myself to breathe. This entire ordeal has been an unnecessary mess, but I've learned one thing. I'm stronger than I thought. For now, I'll continue this journey one step at a time, unsure of the future but determined to live life on my terms.